Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Here we are for the Week 10 review. And I can just go ahead and tell you, this one was probably the craziest week yet. Let's start off with this first game between the Panthers and the Falcons. Billy Cundiff kicked a 44-yard field goal to start things off. Then John Casey kicked a 42-yard field goal. Then you have Williams get a 12-yard fumble return, good old scoop and score. John Casey kicks another field goal. So now the Panthers are down 10-6. Michael Vick finds Norwood from 4 yards out, and now they are up 17-6 with 5 minutes left. David Carr finds Steve Smith for 16 yards. And then Carr finds Deshaun Foster from 1 yard out. And these two scores happen within more or less a minute of each other. And as you can see in the total offense and the first downs, the Panthers just got absolutely dominated by Atlanta. But yet they had the luck. They had the foundation to be able to score those 2 touchdowns. Not only score the 2 touchdowns, but they got a 2-point conversion as well. So they were playing for the win there. And then we have Buffalo and Miami. We have Beck finding Campbell from 20 yards out to take the early lead. Then we have Wright running it in 3 yards out. Then Craig Nall finds Roscoe Parrish from 27 yards out. Lorenzo Booker finds the end zone from 2 yards out. And Jay Feely, with 2 minutes left in the game, kicks a game-winning 30-yard field goal. Yeah, Miami, they just did their best to stifle Buffalo. It was a lot closer game, mainly because of the fact that they did miss a red zone attempt. And they also threw an interception as well, so that was probably how the red zone drive ended. Next game, Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Although the first quarter, the score looks more like a game between the Cleveland Indians and the Pittsburgh Pirates, because we start off with Brady Quinn getting sacked in the end zone by Higgins. Then Phil Dawson kicks a 42-yard field goal. Then Jeff Reed kicks a 28-yard field goal. So already it's looking like one of the weirder final scores of the year. Then you have Phil Dawson hit a 51-yard field goal. So now heading into halftime, it's 6-5. Again, looking more like a Cleveland Indians and Pittsburgh Pirates score. Then Jeff Reed kicks a field goal. So now the score is 8-6. Then Phil Dawson kicks a field goal, makes it 9-8. And then Willie Parker scores it in from 2 yards out to make the score 14-9. But they failed a 2-point conversion to make it 16-9. Then Josh Cripps gets a 95-yard kickoff return for a touchdown right afterwards. Now the score is 16-14. That at a 2-point conversion is already haunting Pittsburgh. And then for good measure, Phil Dawson kicks a 52-yard field goal, makes the final score 19-14. And one of the craziest scoring games of the year so far. Especially the fact that Pittsburgh gained 416 yards, allowed 115. They had 5 red zone attempts, failed 2 of them. Held Cleveland to under 100 rushing yards and 100 passing yards with 10 sacks. How do you lose a game with 10? You know what? I shouldn't ask this considering I'm a Titans fan and we lost the divisional game against the Bengals when we had 9 sacks on Joe Burrow. So maybe I shouldn't ask why Pittsburgh lost a game after getting 10 sacks. And now, Broncos Chiefs. As if this week couldn't already get weird enough. I mean, it starts off normally. You got Jake Elam nailing a 29-yard field goal. Then you have, 39-yard field goal. Then you have Medlock nailing a 23-yarder. Then he nails a 25-yarder. So score heading into the fourth quarter is 6-3. Jake Elam, 47-yard field goal. Tied up at 6 apiece. Then he kicks another field goal. They're up 6-9. Well, they're up 9-6. Then Cox with a 27-yard pick six puts them up 16-6. But then Micah Knorr, the punter that I signed to replace Dustin Colquitt while he's injured, finds Tony Gonzalez for a 26-yard touchdown. And this defense by Denver was going after the quarterback. I mean, 6 sacks, 5 interceptions, although granted it helps that the punter was back there throwing the ball. I mean, look at that. Damon went 2 for 7. He must have gotten injured earlier in the game because he threw 2 picks. Brody Croyle, he was starting to do a little well. 3 for 5, 23 yards. Then he got injured with something. And then Micah Knorr enters the game. Goes 11 for 26, 134 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. The only thing that isn't crazy is me beating the Jags. So, yeah, if you want to just take a look at all this blue, here you go. Yeah, look at all that blue, and I had 13 sacks on Jacksonville myself, so. But Vikings and Packers. Packers really needed this win because heading into this game, they were on a 4-game losing streak. Jackson runs it in from 2 yards out. But then Longwell kicks 2 field goals, one from 44 yards out and one from 49 yards out. So it's 7-6. You know, it's a close game. But then Green Bay pulls away a little bit. Jackson with another touchdown, this time 4 yards out. And then Rayner from 48 yards out. So they're up 17-6 going into the half. Ryan Longwell nails a 36-yard field goal. Brings the score to 17-9. Tim Rattay finds Allison from 34 yards out. Makes the score 17-all. No, he makes the score 17-16 in favor of Green Bay. But then with 11.5 minutes left, Ryan Longwell kicked a 28-yard field goal that would prove to be the game winner. And they might have to put Brett Favre back under center because that's their 5th loss in a row. They thought putting in Aaron Rodgers would help spark the offense. It has not. So they might have to go back to Brett Favre to try to keep the playoff dream somewhat alive. Although, speaking of playoff dreams, the Eagles are still alive. Easily. Washington's not so much. But see, Shushan kicks a 41-yard field goal. Then Brian Westbrook responded with a 3-yard touchdown run. Brian Westbrook gets a 2-yard touchdown run. Shushan responds with a 52-yard field goal. Brian Westbrook gets a 10-yard touchdown run. And Shushan responds with a field goal. And it was just them two trading scores back and forth. I mean, offensively, both teams were kind of even. Washington just wasn't doing so hot on 3rd down. Jesus Christ, Philadelphia 2 for 6 on 4th down. What was the weather like in this game? Because that would explain why you didn't try to go for any field goals possibly. Because although here, no weather's involved because it's in a dome. But so much scoring here. We start with Mark Bolger finding Drew Bennett from 18 yards out. Then Mari kicks a 31-yard field goal. Then we have Jeff Wilkins kicking a 25-yard field goal and Mari kicking a 23-yard field goal. So the score at the half is 6 for New Orleans and 10 for St. Louis. Drew Brees finds Terrence Copper for for a 35-yard touchdown pass. So they take the lead. Then Jeff Wilkins ties it up with a field goal. Then Jeff Wilkins takes the lead with another field goal. And Bulger finds McMichael from 4 yards out to have the lead at the score of 23-13. But then Drew Brees finds Marquise Colston from 16 yards out. And then later on, Reggie Bush with a 59-yard punt return for a touchdown. And the final score ends up being 27-23 in favor of New Orleans, in which New Orleans had 100 less yards, went nearly as good on third down, but, sometimes you get lucky, like holding the opposing team to 2 red zone field goals, but not allowing a touchdown. Bengals and Ravens. Now, week 1, I had all these games kind of play in the background, before I fully got more or less consistent with the games. This was the final score, 31-13, and that was with the game going on in the background. Fast forward 9 weeks later, apparently both teams forget to play defense altogether. Gotta take a deep breath for this one. This is gonna take a bit. Carson Palmer finds Chad Johnson from 21 yards out, and then Steve McNair responds by finding Clayton from 26 yards out. Shane Graham kicks a 47-yard field goal. Carson Palmer finds Chad Johnson again. So already up 17-7 here in the first quarter. Then you have Chris Perry running in from 3 yards out, and Shane Graham kicking a 28-yard field goal. So up 27-7 here in the second quarter. Willis McGahee gets a 7-yard touchdown pass from Steve McNair. Air makes the score 27-14. Matt Stover then makes a field goal, makes the score now 27-17. But then Todd Heap gets a touchdown pass from Steve McNair, so now the score is 27-24 in favor of Baltimore, and we're already close to the score from the St. Louis and New Orleans game. But then Steve McNair finds Clayton again from 1 yard out to go up 31-27. And Perry with a 2-yard run for a touchdown to make the score 34-31. But then Kyle Bowler comes in because Steve McNair probably got hurt and gets a 13-yard touchdown pass. And then Willis McGahee gets an 11-yard touchdown run to put the dagger in there. And both teams combined for 300 plus yards, for over 600 yards combined. What really failed Cincinnati was 1 for 12 on third down. Like, hard to win games when you can't convert third downs. This game at least was a little bit decent. You got Cedric Benson of Chicago getting a 2-yard touchdown run. Then you had Sebastian Janikowski kicking a 36-yard field goal. Robbie Gould with a 49-yard field goal. Then Janikowski with a 30-yard field goal, but that's all the scoring for Oakland. Manning with a 94-yard pick six. So for the Oakland fans, they got to see Jamarcus Russell throw a touchdown pass. It was just to the other team. Then Rex Grossman finds Bernard Berrien from 3 yards out. And that was all the scoring. Even though Oakland outgained Chicago yard-wise, it doesn't help when your quarterback throws 4 interceptions. Kind of hard to win a game when your quarterback throws 4 picks. Now, Cowboys and Giants. Lawrence Tynes, New York Giants Hero of the Year, apparently, kicks a 28-yard field goal. Then Tony Romo finds Anthony Fasano from 1 yard out. Then Martin Gramatica kicks a 37-yard field goal. Then Eli Manning finds Plaxico Burress from 19 yards out. Then Marion Barber scores a 2-yard touchdown run. Plaxico Burress scores another touchdown, this time a nice 69 yards out from Anthony Wright. I'm guessing Eli got hurt in this game. And Wright finds a rookie Steve Smith. It's such a common name apparently for a 4-yard touchdown pass. And with 6 minutes left, just under 7 minutes actually, Martin Gramatica kicks a 41-yard field goal, thinking they could probably score in time. They did not, because that Giants defense was stifling, allowing 198 yards. Right, although they were pretty rough on the ground, 116 yards. They should have just kept running the ball. The Lions and Cardinals. Bryson got a 2-yard touchdown run, they kicked the extra point. Matt Leinart finds Edgerrin James from 1 yard out, so it's tied up at 7 apiece. Then Hanson kicks 2 field goals, one from 35 yards out and one from 24 yards out. Then you have John Kitna finding McDonald from 50 yards out with a successful 2-point conversion to be up 21-7. Edgerrin James with 12.5 minutes left scores from 9 yards out. And that ends up being the final score, 21-14. As Arizona only got 9 first downs the entire game. And one of them happened before 3rd or 4th down. So you just kept putting yourself in a position where you had to convert 3rd downs and even a couple of 4th downs. That doesn't help your team out. Now, Colts and Chargers. This is one of the craziest games, and as I'm recording this, the latest news in the NFL is Philip Rivers, who's in this game, and once also played for the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are working him out to try to be their quarterback again. So, well, I'm just timing this recording just right then, I guess. We got Adam Vinatieri kicking a 19-yard field goal, so that starts off our scoring here. Then we have Philip Rivers finding Davis from 2 yards out. Then we have Peyton Manning finding Reggie Wayne from 16 yards out. Then he finds Anthony Gonzalez from 7 yards out. And then Dawson runs it in from 2 yards out. So the Colts are up 24-7 right now. But then Nate Gating kicks a 34-yard field goal to make the score 24-10. Phil Rivers finds Eric Parker from 25 yards out. Makes the score now 24-17 in favor of the Chargers. 4th quarter, LaDainian Tomlinson gets a 2-yard touchdown run, but I'm guessing the extra point was blocked, or he just accidentally shanked it. But then Antonio Gates gets a 6-yard touchdown reception from Philip Rivers, and they failed the 2-point conversion. I can understand, try to go up by 7, but luckily they played enough defense in 70 seconds to keep them from scoring again. But yeah, this game, defense, never heard of her, because 488 yards for San Diego, and then 316 yards for Indianapolis. Now, last game of the week, San Francisco versus Seattle. Alex Smith finds Laley for 66 yards. And then we have Max Strong running in from 2 yards out. Then we have Nate Clements with a 70-yard pick six. But that didn't stop Matt Hasselbeck from slinging the rock, because he found Deion Branch from 38 yards out. Then he found Sean Alexander from 11 yards out. I'm guessing there was a missed extra point again. And then he finds Deion Branch again from 6 yards out with a failed 2-point conversion. But then Alex Smith finds Kellen Winslow from 9 yards out. But that's the last scoring for San Francisco. Matt Hasselbeck finds Brandon Ingram from 30 yards out makes the extra point. And Brown kicks a 50-yard field goal to cap off a game where they had a total of 40 and a half minutes of time of possession. And that is our review of week number 10, a wild, wild week in this NFL season. And I will see you all next time.